What's up, Glory Gang?
Yo.
Welcome back to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast.
Season 2. Yep.
Yeah, let's go. And I'm one of your hosts, Darren.
And I'm Austin.
And we're super excited to dive into this week's episode. But before we go any further, let's roll that intro.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are. Season 2.
Season 2.
We're like episode 60 something in.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's a lot of episodes. That's cool.
We should be at like 90 by now.
Hey, you know what? There's grace.
Yeah.
For all the podcasters out there, you know it takes a lot of time and commitment to make this happen. So as we have started season 2 of this podcast, we just want to bring the most value and be super efficient with our time.
And so this season, we really want to make a focused effort on answering your questions and really getting your input on what topics need to be covered. Because sometimes as a company that's 5 years down the road, it's tough to remember some of the things that we went through early on. And we have listeners of all different stages in their business, from people who are wanting to start their business, people who are wanting to jump in full time, or people who have recently jumped in full time and are looking to take the next step in growing their business. And so it's really tough to know what content is relevant and what the people who are listening to this podcast really need to hear. So we would super appreciate it if you take a minute and fill out that form. Let us know if you're a creative entrepreneur or looking to be one. What questions do you have?
Yeah.
What do you want to hear us talk about? And how can we add value to you through the things that we've gone through, the challenges that we've faced, the challenges that we're currently facing and working through on a daily basis. And we really want to help you guys learn from wisdom rather than experience.
Yeah.
Because it's always easier to learn from someone else's mistakes than it is to go through them on your own.
Big facts. Yeah, in this episode today, we just really want to discuss a little bit about just some of the fresh perspective that we're having as a company, as business owners. The last episode that we did last week was all about being efficient with our time. We caught up a little bit, but if you guys do struggle with time blocking, with calendar, with being efficient, time is our most valuable commodity. And so we definitely want to respect it, honor it, and also just be good stewards of it. And so if you want some ideas and some things that we have done very recently with mentorships and coaches and different things that we've put in place and put in perspective for us to be able to lead more effectively and lead our team and our company so that it can grow and continue to move forward, definitely check out that episode. But today we're just going to talk a little bit about just the fresh perspectives that we feel like God has brought us into. And so sometimes I think as creatives, we very much are hard on ourselves, and it's very easy to get bogged down by you have such big vision and such excitement for your company, for what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. But you look around and you're like, I don't really know who to do it with. That's I think the biggest barrier in moving forward is sitting in procrastination. And something I'm learning, I'm reading a book right now, and we're actually both reading a book right now, and we're both joining this like business group, again, trying to get better, trying to get around like-minded people, because when the leader gets better, everybody gets better. And that's our biggest thing. And so as we're diving into this, the first meeting is on next Tuesday at 6:30 a.m., bright and early. But it's a really solid just hour of just a bunch of guys from all walks of business life, whether they own their own business, whether they're in a business and they're handling $10 million plus dollar contracts, whether they're just starting, whether they haven't even started the LLC yet, but have vision for it. There's a lot of different types of people in this group, and I'm really excited to hear their perspectives, and also to add our perspective on the journey that we've been on. But like I said, as far as creatives go, we get very bogged down by this idea of we have so much vision for where we want to go, but we don't know how to get there. And so the answer and the thing that I've found is it's actually finding people in your world that can help you get there. I think I was just talking to Austin this morning on our call before work, on the way to work, and I was just thinking, man, like I feel like as a business owner, I just have to do it all. If I have a vision for it, I feel like I have to do everything in my might to make it happen. Some of those things that need to be done, I don't know how to do, or I'm not very good at. And so I'm very much aware of that, but I think I need to relieve the pressure off of myself and just find the person in our circle or in our organization and have them do it. Because some things that I'm good at, other people are good at. And I think the best piece of advice that I've learned so far in this book that we're reading, it's called Who Not How, by the way. It's a great read. I just literally just started the introduction and into the first chapter, but I was already super inspired. It's all about getting people in your circle that they're just as good at their thing as you are at your thing. And so that in the strengths that you both are in, they're met at the same level of expectation, of vision, of work. I think a really big key in success and with business owners, and what I'm learning is that successful business owners don't just do everything themselves. They have amazing people around them that are really great at their job, and it allows them to move forward faster rather than the owner, the CEO doing everything themselves.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm excited to dive into the book and meet with people, and really, I feel like that's a challenge. Getting yourself around those types of people, and identifying, I think, the strengths in your team is a challenge.
Yeah.
But it's something that's crucial if you want to lead them properly, because if you have people that aren't operating in their strength zones, you're being inefficient. And so I think something that we'll probably start really focusing on as we dive into this book, and from what I've heard about it so far, is like, what are the strengths of the people on our team?
Yeah.
What are the things that they are as good at as we are at relating with clients, or going on a meeting and meeting a new client for the first time? Those are things that Darren and I have found are strengths for us, outside of the operations of shooting and editing video. And so what are those things for our team, and how can we best be putting them in their strength zone? So that's really good. So last week we talked about, like Darren said, being a good steward of what you have and what you feel like God's called you to right now, because we feel like we've been in that season of trying to figure out how to be good stewards with what we have. And I think we've made great strides in that. I feel like now more than ever, like I do feel like we're being a good steward with what we have. And so I think now God is calling us to new things, to new vision, new abilities, things that we're picking up, or things that we're learning that we're passionate about that we didn't know about. And so, yeah, what are some of those things, I guess, for you?
Yeah, sometimes I think, before I dive in, is there's going to be adversity and things that you come up against that you're going to feel like you just can't conquer. But I really do believe there's so much freedom and victory on the other side of that when you like face the thing that you feel like you can't do, but you actually can. Sometimes it takes just some encouragement or people believing in you. Sometimes it takes just trying it. Like if you're a video production company, or if you're a photographer, or you're in the creative space or the church world. So I feel like there's this block for creatives, and it's very overwhelming because there's so many directions you can go. There's so many niches. There's so many different types of work you can do. There's so many types of photography, so many types of video and film and social media content and design. I mean, you name it. There's so many avenues. And as a creative, me personally, this is something that I struggle with, is like, I just want to do it all and know it all and know how to do all of it. But something that we've continued to learn and get better at is that we're learning and knowing our strengths, so that we just crush. Like I'm really passionate and love video editing. So I know I'm really good at that, solid at that. I'm really strong, but some of the things I just don't need to worry about. And so if you're in that space and you're looking to level up, or you're looking to step into something new, just ask yourself, like, is this something that I'm passionate about? This is something that I'm excited about? Whether it's like, I want to go and shoot video for every single gym in the city that you live in. Maybe you're really passionate about the gym. Maybe that's something that you can really grow in and network and make a really great living shooting gym type videos, whether it's people working out, influencers, whether it's promoting gyms or promoting nutrition shops or places that sell, things for people that go to the gym. I mean, it could be something as simple as that. Or maybe you're like really intimidated and you don't want to step into something because you're like, well, that space is super saturated. Maybe I don't fit in there. Maybe maybe I don't really know how to connect with people at the gym because everyone's super massive and swole and like intimidating. And so you don't necessarily want to, but you feel like you can add value in that space, I would just say, just try it out. Do one shoot, do 2 shoots, connect with a couple people. I think as a lot of times as creators, we don't step into opportunity because we're just so overwhelmed by the amount of opportunity. And so I would just say, step into it. For instance, Austin and I and another friend of ours, we own a company called Glory Gang. It's our clothing brand that we're up and coming, and it's been a lot of fun. We've done a couple pop-ups now, getting great feedback. People love our stuff. They love the quality, the time that we put in, the video and photo. Obviously, we put all of our time into. Our website's great. So yeah, it's a quality thing. And recently, like in our roles in that company, have kind of shifted a little bit, and different passion points have come to the surface. But for me, I just feel like lately I have all these ideas in my head and I don't know how to get them out. And so like, I knew I was faced with that wall of adversity of like, okay, I can literally talk to 1 million people and share my ideas. How am I going to get the ideas from my head and onto paper, onto an iPad? And the only way that I felt like I was supposed to do it was actually just taking a pen and putting it to the paper. And I haven't drawn since college, like many years ago. I haven't really designed much. I do a little bit of Photoshop stuff for us, or Canva, or like something super basic, but never really dove in because I never really looked at myself as a graphic designer or a designer. So I recently have stepped into doodling and having fun with like learning Procreate on the iPad. And I actually pulled a notepad out and a good old fashioned pencil and like scribbled a bunch of stuff the other day. And it was like super fun. It was super mind numbing. It was fun. I could just think of something and then I would just try to scribble it on a paper. And it was like this new excitement, I think, for me, because it was something that I hadn't done in a really long time. And I don't really necessarily think I'm like great at it, but I think I could be if I continue to, just be obedient and step into it, because just because it's new and it's hard doesn't mean I shouldn't be doing it. So,
yeah, I think there's a really great point in all that you just said, because I think that's us as creators all the time. And if you are in a place of burnout or just dread or monotony or any of those types of things, like the fastest way I've found to break that is to go learn something new.
Right.
It does something for your soul.
Yeah.
Like I can't explain it, but like even just experiencing it like through Darren, of him drawing something, and I'm like, dude, that's freaking dope. Like that was your first shot at a sketch since 2010, and like it's sick.
Yeah.
Not 2010, but like whatever.
That's when I graduated high school.
Yeah. But like we convince ourselves all the time that we don't have the time because there's all these projects, and yes, like the projects getting out are what pays the bills, what keeps your business going. But if you're hating what you do on a daily basis, then you don't have the time not to figure out how to get out of that burnout.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing, I think, with new seasons, learning something new. It re-energizes you creatively for the things that you were bored of also, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's a really, really big point.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see.
I think a little key to that too was I was up against the wall, right? And I'm like, okay, there's a few things that I have no control of that I can't really do. So I guess I can't design, but I'm like, no, I have a piece of paper at home. I have a pen. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then I'm like, well, this is tough because pen and paper and bringing out colors and trying to do that, it takes forever. Like I scribbled just a one sheet of a notebook paper in our office. I was probably sitting there for like an hour and a half or so, just doodling. And I didn't really get super far, but it takes a lot of time, shading and scribbling and coming up with ideas. And I was like Googling different images and different clothing brands and just kind of getting inspired. Well, then I was like, well, I don't have an iPad. Well, Austin and Callie have an iPad. And I was like, it was at the office. I'm just going to steal it for the day and learn Procreate. Well, I don't know Procreate. I don't know how to use the iPad. I haven't used an iPad. I have an iPad 2 that I used a long time ago. I haven't touched an iPad since. And so I was like, I don't know how to use it. I'm more familiar with, a mouse and keyboard and on Photoshop or something like that. I don't even know where to begin about using like an Apple Pencil and how to, like to honestly, even to take this iPad off here and like, I didn't know this didn't fold and like just weird, like not knowing stuff. But then I was like, well, there's YouTube. So then I Googled how to use Procreate, and there was like a how to use Procreate in 10 minutes, like all the basics, whatever. So I clicked it, I watched it, 10 minutes. Then I learned how to, undo. It's like 2 fingers, 3 is redo if you want it back, to add layers, to do all these things, similar things to Photoshop, but also like way simplified. And it was really liberating and fun because I felt like I was starting to like break through that wall of like, I don't know what to do. And then I was like, okay, now I know how to use the program. What do I design? Well, then I was literally wearing Dallas Cowboys like vintage tee that I really like. And I was like, oh, like football. I want to make like a football shirt. Like, I don't know why, but it was just, that's what was there. And so I started drawing a football. I was like looking at references of like 90s, like vintage jerseys and looking at different things. And I'm like, oh, I should just draw this little football design. It says Glory Gang with a football and like disrupt the industry with like a banner. And then I used the Nebraska Cornhuskers N because we live in Nebraska. I don't know why. I don't really care about football, but here's the thing. People like the Huskers for some reason.
They do.
And, it's funny, and this is a side note, but I grew up an Iowa fan my whole life. My wife's family, diehard Husker fans. And so now I watch more Husker football probably than I do Iowa football because they're always watching it. We're always discussing it. And we happened to meet and shoot with Casey Thompson before his career here. And so we, like have been connected with him, and I'll shoot him a text and stuff before the games and like pray for him. And I'm like, I guess I'm kind of like becoming a Husker fan, like, but it is what it is. I don't hate me, love me, but I watch Iowa and Huskers, and when they play against each other, I guess you have to find out who I'm rooting for.
Nice.
So anyway, breaking the barrier. I begun to break through that adversity wall, and I feel like I'm stepping on the other side. I don't have it all figured out. I don't know what I'm really doing, but I know that I have the tools. I have the people around me that are like, hey man, you can do this. And it's been super fun. It's just exciting. And it's like adding a new fun little hobby, I guess.
Yeah. It's been cool to see you initially be super resistant to learning Procreate and like just not being about it to eventually, I think we all convinced you to give it a shot, but it's just shows like, I think a lot of times we do that. We look at, it's a new program I have to learn. Like it's something new. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
But after that, once you get past the discomfort of learning something new and you start to get familiar with it, I mean, like you said, YouTube, you said earlier in a text conversation, like YouTube is the new Harvard. And to some degree for a lot of this stuff, I mean, you can learn literally almost anything on YouTube. And so there's almost not an excuse besides just like
not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you said you didn't have the tools, but you have a pen and paper. Like anybody can get a pen and paper. And so
I learned how to properly brush my dog on YouTube.
Nice.
Like just the weirdest things. Like how do you, like you can actually, if you have found something that you can't find on YouTube, please DM us. Yeah, but you can probably learn just about anything on YouTube. And especially in the creative space, creators make creative content to teach you how to be creative. It's like one of the first things that ever was on YouTube was, hey, I'm a creator and this is how you create this. And that's how we've learned a ton of our stuff.
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything that we know. We didn't go to film school. We didn't go to business school. I did take a couple classes in college, like graphic design and photography, but other than that, I mean, here we are, YouTube University for life.
That's right. All that to say, I feel like when you take last week's episode into practice, when you are faithful with what you have, you get called to new things.
Yeah.
I think naturally when you are stewarding what's in your hand well, there's more.
Yeah.
And so
you're creating space.
Yeah. And don't be discouraged. Don't look at it as something that's daunting. Yes, it will be uncomfortable, but you will be energized on the other side of it. you'll have fresh vision, fresh ideas. And I think that's ultimately how you step into your destiny, is you steward what you have well. And then when you feel like you're called to the new thing, you go after it without fear or hesitation. And I'm excited. I feel like I'm coming up on one of those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is for me yet. Right now, like my personal life is really taking a lot of my attention, which is great. My wife and I are in transition right now.
And you're designing your home?
Yeah. So we just bought a new house, and I'm like trying to learn how to interior design as someone who has never bought a piece of new furniture in my whole life.
Ever. Yeah.
I've just always had hand-me-downs, whatever anyone would give me, like I would take and put it in my house.
Yep.
So we're like buying new furniture, picking out what we want, trying to like decide the style and the feel that we want our house to be. And so that's been kind of fun, although frustrating, because at first I'm like walking through these furniture stores and I'm like, man, I can see shots in my head, but if you put me in a freaking interior design store, like I can't see it. I cannot see the room with this rug and this couch and these pillows. Like I can't put it all together in my head yet.
Right.
But I'm starting to see some of it. So that's been kind of fun, but I'm really looking forward to the next new thing to learn in our business. There's always things to learn, things to get better at. Lighting is always something to get better at, and just like learning more about color. Maybe it's color grading. I don't know. But I am excited to dive into something new. And maybe get better.
And maybe you're facing that right now. You're like, hey, I'm actually like right there with you. Like I'm learning how to use Procreate, or I'm learning how to interior design my home, or whatever that may be. Like hit us up. We'd love to hear about that. That's awesome. We want to celebrate with you, give you resources if we have some, because we've learned a lot on the journey of doing this thing with business and creatives. We've read books, we've had mentors, we've listened to hundreds of podcasts. I mean, you name it, we've done it. And so, yeah, definitely hit us up, because we are proud of you for stepping out into something new, because it's not easy. And so I think that's what sets us apart as creatives, that we just go against the grain and do things that are different. It's a lot of fun.
It's boring to do the same thing every day for even a year. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just an antsy generation thing. But like, I have to stay sane, do new things and learn new things. And the one caveat with that, I think, relating to what we talked about last week, is you probably wouldn't have felt the freedom to take the time. I know you took it home, but like while you were here, like we have time built into our schedule now for like Darren dream time. And that's what that's for. That's so that he has time where he doesn't feel the pressures of everything else, and he can sit down and draw on an iPad and do the things that will energize him to continue to have vision and new vision and move things forward. And so, like I said before, it's not that you don't have time. It's really that you don't have time not to do that, if that's the season that you're in. Now, if you're in a season where you just kind of came out of that and you just need to kind of get what you have in your hands and organized and efficient and be the steward of that, then that's a different story. And I would just go back and listen to last week's podcast and apply that. So it's ultimately up to you to create that space for learning something new or going after what you feel like you're being called to in the next season.
Over the last many years, as we've been in church creative departments together for 5 years, we've been in this business for 4.5. We've had a lot of conversations with creatives, really just about their future, their life, like what we see them. We met a lot of really talented people, and we've had so many conversations about like vision for their future, but they're just sitting right where they were when we first met them, because they didn't want to take action. They were too proud. They were too, like they came up against that wall and they just turned back around and went back to, jumping around different gigs or doing small like contract work, or just really, really small-minded. And I would say that being a successful business owner and leader, you just have to have a level of humility. And also like you need some people in your life that you would allow them to like help shape you, help pull things out of you. Because that's literally why we are here today, is people saw something in us, believed in us. And if you don't allow that feedback, allow that those people in your world, I feel like you just get stuck,
Yeah.
and we don't want you to be stuck. So right now, find somebody. Maybe you just listen to this whole podcast and you're like, I'm so inspired, I'm going to go do something new. Well, call somebody right after this. Like, give somebody a call that's in your world, that believes in you, that has encouraged you, loves your work, loves what you're doing, and just call them and be like, hey, I'd love some feedback. Hey, do you want to collaborate? You want to grab coffee? Like, I think getting in those conversations and getting around those people that think you're amazing, that want to help you, want to challenge you, is absolutely key to your success.
So there you have it. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. If you feel like you're being called to something new, something scary, dive in, go after it. Make sure you have people around you that can encourage you in the way. And don't forget, if you have a podcast topic in mind, or there's something that, maybe this episode triggered a follow-up question, we could create a series, whatever that looks like. But if you could do us a favor, head to the website at gloryvisuals.com/podcast. Let us know what you'd like to hear on the show. And we can't wait to see your submissions. But that's pretty much it for this week.
Yeah, and if you guys are listening on Apple Podcast, be sure to leave us a rating. We love reading those. If you're on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe on YouTube and give us a thumbs up on this video. We really, really appreciate it. But guys, until the next one, we're the Glory Boys, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.